Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. It is 11 o'clock. I'm waiting for my everything to catch up and reset, and I don't know why it takes so long. I don't know what if anybody knows what I'm doing wrong to make my lives so slow, let me know. There we are. We finally caught up. Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's 11 o'clock. It is April 4th, and it is sort of a most kind of sunny day. Beautiful though. It's finally feeling like spring, and that's exciting. And my birthday season is officially over, which is kind of fun. Although, now what, right? And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is now what? What would we do? What would we like to do? I wanted to do something in April, and then I never got around to figuring out what that was. And I did think about doing like a Ho'oponopono challenge for the month of April. So if anybody's up for that, let's figure out how that would work and what it would look like, and we would have like a daily practice, sort of like when we did the happiness challenge in August. We could do something very similar of like posting. Um, we're talking about it, but I haven't sort of fleshed it out yet. And here we are, it's April 4th. So if anybody's in for like a Ho'oponopono challenge, please let me know and I'll make it work, or I think I can even create rooms and things here on the page. So let me know. Let me know what you're in for, and I will totally make it happen. Um, and I so the thing I wanted to sort of talk about today is I I had so my for my birthday, my parents gave me a waterfall shower head, one of those big square ones that like you can fit your whole body in. And it for the past we've lived here for over a year and a half, and for the past year and a half, I have taken a shower with like half of me not in the water, right? I don't get great water pressure anyway. And that's just sort of a fact of the building and the complex that I live in, and I'm too close to the water tower, which doesn't make any sense to me, but here we are. So I don't get great water pressure under any circumstances. But for the past year and a half, I've been taking a shower with just a normal shower head. It was, whatever, it was fine. But there was always half of me that wasn't in the shower. So there was always half of me that's freezing cold. So for my birthday, my mom said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I was like, "You know what I really want is a shower head, because it's probably not something I would buy myself, right?" So she gave me the shower head. So my parents came and installed it on Saturday, and Lily jumped in the shower like they weren't even out the door, and Lily jumped in the shower and she was like, "Mama, this is amazing." And I got to take a shower Sunday morning, and it was glorious. It was just fucking amazing what it feels like to actually be in the shower and fully immersed in the shower, which doesn't feel like a big deal until you live in a place where it's sort of you have to sort of strategically get yourself wet, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. One of the issues that I was having a couple weeks ago when I was in my little mini dark night was that I am just used to making do. Like I just will make it work regardless of what is here. It's like it's fine. It's totally okay. I'll make it work. And I do that with with pretty much every aspect of my life. Part of it is just as we're just Gen X. As Generation X, that's all it's kind of how we were bred. It's kind of how we were hardwired, right? Just make do, right? We were the first generation to kind of be left on our own. And I'm not. This isn't like a generational. Like this isn't like a poke fun at anybody, or it's not like the okay boomer. It's or millennials or any of it, right? But even in the generational war, there's boomers against millennials, but no, nobody ever really pays attention to Generation X. And I know that as an energetic being, as this was part of our contract as a generation, we were the stopgap. We were we got to stop the energetic patterns of the baby boom generation, and even the silent generation, right? We got to stop the energetic patterns, and most of us weren't having most of us don't have millennial kids. Most of us have Generation Z kids, which are they're completely upgraded, right? So the millennial generation is, I know everybody talks about millennials being entitled, but no, they came in to be like, this doesn't fucking work anymore, right? Excuse me. So that's the pattern that the millennials hold, is like, this doesn't work, and why would you think it works? And why is this okay? And they're right. For so much of what they're bitching about, they're right. Our job was to just hold the space in order for the millennials and the Gen Zs to come in and heal, right? So as Generation X, we make do. And if you're just joining me, say good morning, hi, because I can't see who you are, but good morning. So anyway, so we make do. We learn to make do. We learn to take care of ourselves. We learn to just deal, which has been my whole life. I just was like, all right, I'll just make it work, whatever. Like I went on a date with someone on Friday, and I wore a nice top and whatever. And my friend said to me, "I'm glad you put some effort into what you were wearing today." And I was like, "Yeah, of course I did." And she often teases me about like holy t-shirts and holy sweatshirts and some sweatshirts with stains on them, and because I just I'm so low maintenance, to the point of that, like, I mean, I have t-shirts that are older than older than, like, I have a t-shirt from college, right? And I graduated in 1997, right? Like, there's no reason for me to keep this t-shirt, but yet it's comfy, it's warm, it's soft, and I love it. It's also got tons of holes and whatever, but I don't care. I just make do. I just make do. It's what I have always done. It's how I work. Unless it's like really falling apart, I will keep it and save it. I do think some of that is a generational thing. I do think some of that is Generation X. We just make do. We just take what we're given and don't get upset and just accept that it is. I think that some of it is a generational thing, and I think some of it is who I am. I'm just kind of, I don't, I learn, I saw a lot of my vows and defenses are around being selfless, right? So some of it is who I am, and some of it is my generation, and some of it is just me being me. And also, some of it is a trauma response. It's okay. I don't have any needs because I don't expect them to get met anyway. And that trauma response is, I think, how a lot of us go through life, right? It's like when we're bitsy little and we have needs that don't get met, we decide on the spot that the pain of having those needs not met is so terrible that we're just never going to ask for our needs to be met again. But in the meantime, that's all we want and all we cling to, but we keep asking, we keep refusing to ask for our needs to be met. We just make do, which then leads to a lot of pain and a lot of unhealthy coping styles, especially in relationships, right? So when we then get into a relationship with somebody, an intimate partner, lover, even a friend, and we don't know how to ask for our needs to get met, that creates a whole lot of like expectations and resentment when our needs don't get met, which is the one thing we want and the one thing we're almost unable to admit that we need. I remember back when I was in school, I was at the Reese Thomas Institute, and it was my second year in the school, and that was the second year. My second year was I was the beginnings of my dark night, the dark night of my soul. Which, if I haven't talked enough about the dark night of the soul, remind me to do a post on that, because that's its own little thing. But I was at the very beginnings of my dark night, and it was really a time when I knew I was sliding in. I was actually diving in, and it was going to be dark, and it actually ended up being dark for almost a year and a half, that I was just completely dark. But one of the days we were in class, and we got to do this meditation where we got to ask for, in a meditation, we took ourselves back in time and we got to ask for our needs to be met in at as children. It's an incredibly powerful meditation, and it's like so so powerful. One of the things that came up in that meditation was I wanted to be like held. What I wanted was for my dad to hold me. And I didn't even know that that was a need I had. And I would have argued, I would have vehemently argued that I didn't have that need whatsoever. So we did this meditation, and then 5 seconds later, we weren't even on to the next thing yet. We had just gotten into our classroom and our group, and one of the teachers came up behind me, and he just grabbed me from behind, and he just held me, and he opened his heart to me, and I felt his heart. I felt that immense safety of being held and cherished and supported by a very strong man, which was again unheard of, and he just held me in a way that 2 seconds beforehand I had just this meditation came up, and I was still raw from that. I was still raw from that meditation because it was so powerful. And then he came up and he held me, and he just held me, and and I remember that I lost it. Like I was weeping and sideways tears, and like it touched something in me that was so raw. It was so painful. It was so excruciatingly beautiful that I didn't have any defenses, and I couldn't have any defenses. And it just it just it was one of those times that cracked me wide, wide fucking open. It was amazing. There, like I said, there are times that things happen sometimes, and it's a before and an after. And it's like you can never be the same after because you've experienced this thing. And this was one of those moments. This was one of those times for me that it was it was beautiful in its simplicity, and I got to process with this teacher afterwards. He was like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." I was like, "No, no, you were perfect." Um, and the whole point of me bringing this up is, up until that moment, I could not even access the fact that that's what I wanted more than anything else in the world. And I was making do with what I had or what I was given without really asking for what I needed or wanted because I didn't believe, I didn't trust, I didn't realize that it was an option. And I think that's what we do. I think we do this a lot. Which, the sort of comical example of me making do with a shower, right? And yeah, was my shower fine? Yes, it was. When I got the shower when I got in the shower yesterday, it was glorious. And I think sometimes we make do because we're afraid to ask, because we're afraid of getting rejected, because we're afraid of not getting our needs met. And so we stay safe. We stay small. We stay stuck. We stay sort of unhappy, the sort of chronic unhappy, right? It's not like sad. It's just sort of not happy, right? And I think I mean I know my clients, this is kind of one of the things I work with my clients all the time on is both asking for your needs to be met and being okay if you ask and they don't get met, but it's the asking that gives you permission, gives the universe a something to work with. If you're kind of like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, it's all good, I'm fine, so fine. You may actually sincerely believe that's true, but why aren't you glorious? Why aren't you fantastic? Why aren't you incredibly happy? Because the reality is, in order to get to that level, you have to be willing to be impossibly sad. and dark, and you have to be willing to get your heart broken. You have to be willing to have a chance at something to have a chance at something amazing. You have to be willing to have it be painful and challenging. And if you can't sit in the discomfort of the fear and the sadness and the loneliness, then you make do, right? And then we end up in relationships and marriages that are just sort of you're going through the motions, or we end up with like friendships that you're like, why do I still hang around with this person? I don't know. It's, anything, any relationship. You stay in a job that you just are like, it pays the bills, it's totally fine. I have other things. I can't wait till vacation, right? What if you got to create a life that you didn't need a vacation from? And that's it. We have to be willing. We have to be willing to ask, and we have to be willing to not get it, because sometimes we won't get it. And that's there's beauty, there's a gift in that, in the not getting. When I was back in high school, I was a wicked geek. I am still a geek, but it's cool to be a geek now. But back in high school, I listened to country music before country music was cool. So in the '90s, I was listening to country music all the time. And one of my favorite songs ever is by Garth Brooks. It's called "Unanswered Prayers." And the whole song is, I used to wish and pray and that she would love me, and then I look back and I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad she didn't love me. And like, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. It's such a beautiful song. It's so powerful. And like I said, I loved Garth Brooks before it was cool to love Garth Brooks. Um, but the not getting is sometimes the gift, because there's contrast. You get to appreciate what you have when you don't have. You get to completely enjoy the sunlight because we have the rain, right? So it's like, are you willing to ask? And also, are you willing to risk not getting it expressly for the chance to have extraordinary? But because there's only one feelings dial, right? You can't turn down the volume on the pain and the sadness and the misery and then expect to have passion and joy and enthusiasm. They're the same thing. And if you turn the volume down on one, then you turn the volume down on all of it. So my question to you guys today is, where are you just making do? And what could you say yes to today that could potentially make that, instead of making do, you could potentially get to extraordinary? And what are you willing to risk? What are you willing to experience in order to get to that extraordinary place? And honestly, let's have a dialogue about this. Let's have a conversation. Drop comments or send me a message. Or I literally, this is my favorite thing on the planet to talk about. So let's talk about this, right? Where are you making do, and what are you willing to do to say yes to extraordinary? I hope you have a wonderful Monday. I have I have a inner child class on April 16th, so join us for that. And truly let me know what kind of challenge we want to do for the month of April, because I feel like we need to do something. It's spring, new life, new beginnings. We need to be doing something. I just haven't figured it out yet. So my leaning is Ho'oponopono, but I'm open to anything. So drop me a line and let me know, and let's figure it out, and we can start this week or whatever. And I hope you have a wonderful Monday, and let's have some dialogue.